Weird Wisconsin Werewolves. Welcome to Scary Stories. Today we're going to highlight a special town in Dogman and real werewolf history, and that is the town of Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Everything to follow in this episode is something that a witness reported to an author or journalist. That doesn't prove it's true, but let's just say that people in Eau Claire sort of seem to expect odd things to happen. It's in that region of Wisconsin that was once covered in conical mounds left by very ancient people too far back in time for even American natives to be able to tell us their origin. Everywhere those mounds were, and wherever they still remain, people see upright walking canids. People see strange lights. People see what they perceive as ghosts. It's a pretty intense thing once you start to look into it. Fortunately for me and you, most Wisconsin folk are proud of their state's spooky and weird side, so a lot of info exists online, even on tourism websites. First, I'd like to go into two daytime dogman sightings that happened very close to each other, in the suburban town of Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Now, these are not your ordinary cryptid sightings. They're both a bit off. The first was in 2003, and the next was 5 years after that. One happened in a home on Cameron Street, and the other not very far from Cameron in someone's backyard. Both of these sightings were documented in Linda Godfrey's book Real Wolfmen, in the chapter entitled Black Hellhounds, Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It's May 2003. A young man sleeps in late until 2:30 in the afternoon. He gets up groggily, squinting at all the bright sunlight of the afternoon flooding into his home. He wanders into his bathroom and closes the door to do his morning business. When he's done, he opens the door, and there is a large form blocking his way. It was a black-furred dogman, taller than he was, and it was blocking him from being able to leave the bathroom. The man estimated that the beast man must have weighed 300 pounds or more. But then, he noticed that the creature seemed partially translucent, like Casper the Unfriendly Dogman. Its chest and arms were not furry. They were dark-skinned and muscular, with the skin exposed all over. His head, however, was that of a canine, with bright yellow eyes that stared directly at the witness. It was muscle-bound and clawed, quite an imposing figure. This was a dog-headed man in the truest of senses. The young witness, who chose to remain nameless when reporting this to Linda Godfrey, turned around and grabbed a baseball bat, which he for some reason had in his bathroom, and he turned around to face the creature. But the werewolf merely looked somewhere else, and then ceased to be there at all. It just blinked in and then blinked out. Like a TV transmission, sort of. Weird, huh? When people have hallucinations after waking up from dreams, it's called a hypnopompic hallucination. I suppose it's possible that this young gentleman was not fully yet awake, and that he vividly imagined a large dogman or werewolf blocking his path, even though it was bright daylight at 2:30 in the afternoon. But then how do you explain this next story, which happened nearby? Godfrey doesn't tell us where on Cameron Street in Eau Claire the first man lived, but she tells us that the second man lived close by the first, for what that's worth. It was 5 years later, in 2008, when that second man contacted Linda Godfrey to tell her that he had seen a creature that looked the same as that 2003 one, although he called it brown and not black. He saw it moving around in a sneaky fashion between his truck and the garage. The man compared the creature's movements to those of a ninja, and said that it quickly disappeared from his sight. Rather than being frightened of the entity, though, as the first man had been, this guy wondered if it were some kind of guardian spirit, looking to protect him in some way. That's the first time I've heard of someone interpreting a dogman visitation in that way, but there you go. The city of Eau Claire is a very unique place. The local tourism board has a page set up to guide ghost hunters to some of the better haunted locations in town. The downtown Milcon Theater in Eau Claire is said to be haunted. Another theater whose name I can't pronounce at the college in Eau Claire is haunted. Fire station number 10 is haunted. Of course, the location of the torn-down asylum is haunted, I mean, duh. It's not that large a city, but it's got a lot of weird history in it. Just before Halloween this past year of 2023, Eau Claire's local TV station WQOW ran a story on the Beast of Eau Claire, which they claim is a large black dog with glowing red eyes. The March 19, 1908 La Crosse Tribune describes a black beast thought to be a panther that killed cattle and stalked a farmer's son in Eau Claire back during that year of 1908. A panther is not a dog, and a dog is not an upright werewolf. But Eau Claire has been a place where people have reported strange and deadly animals, which seem to have a supernatural edge to them, for well over 100 years. WQOW quotes Chad Lewis in the Wisconsin Road Guide to Mysterious Creatures, describing two different sightings of the creature in the early days of the 21st century. So let's go through those two sightings. It was 2001, 11 p.m. A woman is driving on Highway 37. She said that when she saw the red eyes of this big black canine beast, she became filled with a fear that was quite out of the ordinary for her. It doesn't seem she thinks this was an ordinary animal. 1 year later in the same area, a different woman claimed to Chad Lewis that she saw the beast off of US Highway 53. So this was not a one-time phenomenon, to be certain. Is this the same thing appearing in different forms? How many haunted beasts can exist in one small area of Wisconsin? Until one is captured or killed, we may never know what kind of being the creature really is, Chad Lewis wrote. But is such a thing even possible? Do these creatures exist in the same way that you and I do? Or are they only temporary visitors to our world in one sense or another? Could they be interdimensional travelers through John Keel's window areas? Or what about Rupert Sheldrake's theories of morphic resonance? Sometimes when he talks about the forms that living things can take already pre-existing, it reminds me of avatars in video games. Maybe changing forms isn't as complicated as we think, because we're still trapped in old school linear thought patterns. When it comes to places like Eau Claire, Wisconsin, I'm just not really personally so sure what people are seeing and experiencing. But I know I would like to learn a lot more. If you've had any personal experiences in or around this haunted area in Wisconsin, please share what you know in the comments. Or if you've heard any cool stories about the area, we'd love to hear what you got to say. For me personally, this is a fairly new subject I'm just starting to really look into. So if you know more than I do, I'd be very interested in what you have to say. Speaking of interesting, some of the stories in tonight's episode were taken from Linda Godfrey's classic book Real Wolfmen. We have a link to get that book in either print or Kindle or audiobook versions. And if you snag it at the link in the description, you help our channel out because we get a small commission from each sale. And speaking about helping the channel out, it's time to learn about this week's executive producer. And here to tell us about that is that most Bigfooty of all Bigfoots, Bigfoot. Biggie? He's all love and zero hate. He's Ace Williams, 1978. Please join me in thanking Ace Williams, 1978 for making this episode possible. Ace is a member of our PayPal subscribers club, which means he got to see the 2 secret uncensored members-only stories that we dropped this past weekend. We also have another club here on YouTube with the same perks. And here to tell you all about both is our international TV spokesmongrel, Henry Lee Dogman. Hank?
Thanks, Biggie. And thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button. Or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that one. It cuts off after, I think, 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.